little somber, but not exactly.
Yeah, let's get into the groove. Get into the groove.
So, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Brand News PhD. We're at episode 115. And, yeah, we're excited, man. This is a big one for us. It's kicking off a pretty crazy 3-week stretch of ours. We're amped, though, man. We're opening up with Am I Dreaming by Metro Boomin and A$AP Rocky from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because tonight's the night we finally get to talk about the number one movie in the world right now. So, hyped about that. A movie we've been waiting for a little while now. A little while. So, excited about that. Yeah, thanks for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Also back home-ish now on Wednesday night. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, break up your week with us. We're going to be talking about the latest episodes of Gotham Knights, Superman and Lois, the last 2 episodes, because the new ones dropped last night. And it's a spoiler discussion for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Joking.
See, this is what happens. This is what happens, Ed, when you don't properly say, Kal-El, we still love you, even though we're about to talk how wonderful this movie is. Kal-El, please don't smite Eddie.
Yeah, so we're hyped, man. Thanks for joining us and joining us on Facebook live stream or YouTube, or Twitter, or Instagram, or wherever you find your audio on the podcast. We always appreciate the support. With me, as always, Jason. What's up, man?
How's it going? Good to be here. Excited to talk Spider-Verse. Excited to talk Superman and Lois. You know, excited as always. That's what I'm stopping there. I'm not excited to talk about Gotham Knights. I mean, come on. But yeah, you know, things are good. I have a brief Westeros report this week. Report. I'm in the last season. I am 3 episodes into the last season. I'm not saying I hate it, but it's not as good as the other seasons. I feel that all of the cool intrigue and backstabbing and character stuff is completely gone this season, and it's all just nonstop battles in the dark, like fighting the dead.
Oh, and then dark episode! You got to the dark episode.
Yes, that was the last episode. The Night in the Dark, and it's like, I get what they were trying to do, but like, I couldn't see what the fuck was going on.
Thank you.
And then like at the end of that episode, I don't know if like I have to see. I didn't watch the next episode, so I this could be resolved. But like every single White Walker is defeated that easily. Like, oh my god! We invested 7 years into the White Walkers, and then you give me 3 episodes of nonstop fighting where you're ignoring these cool characters. And like, don't get me wrong, I think that the killing blow that Arya gives the White King, or whatever his name is,
Night King,
is pretty awesome, right? Because like he thinks he takes the knife and she lets it drop and grabs it and hits him with it. But like the fact that that's the culmination of all of this. I'm kind of afraid to see where it goes now.
So, from my recollection of the last season of Game of Thrones, I thought it started solid on the first 2, and then with the dark episodes, it started hitting the fan for me.
I was with it on the first 2. Again, it's a bit more heavy on the battle stuff for me than I would like. It's not that I mind the battle stuff, but like, people killing each other, I can give or take it. Like, I'm really interested in like the politicking and the backstabbing and the court intrigue and stuff and the interpersonal relationships. And the previous seasons had a really good balance, and I thought the first two episodes were good, but again, it was just a bit too heavy on the battle stuff for me. And again, it was all like White Walker stuff, which, I mean, they're interesting and menacing and cool, but when it comes down to it, they're the safest villains because they're already dead. So PG-13,
disposable villains that they can just kind of do whatever you want with.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. So hopefully, I think I'll finish by the next the next time we gather, and I'll be able to give my full Westeros report. But kind of sad, kind of scared about where the season's going.
Okay, all right. I will say nothing more because I don't want to spoil anything for you, since you've managed to, to keep this going.
Yeah, no, good. I think at this point, I should be dubbed the god of avoiding spoilers. Like, if we were creating a new Roman pantheon of gods, that would be my godhood, the god of avoiding spoilers. And when you want to avoid a spoiler, you pray to me.
I'm pretty close with you, but I would say because you're on another level of like I haven't even seen the trailer, and I was like, okay, that's,
no, right,
yeah, that's that's another.
This
level.
This is me watching Game of Thrones a decade after it was the hugest thing in the world, and I had no fucking idea what was going to happen. To the point where when the Red Wedding, which apparently was on the news, it was such a traumatic event for our country. When the Red Wedding happened, I didn't realize it was the Red Wedding until after. And I went, oh, that was the Red Wedding. Because I had just heard the name. So I am, fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee when it comes to avoiding spoilers.
That's funny because I was a guy in my office today who was wearing a Superman versus Muhammad Ali t-shirt. Funny you bring that
up. Really?
Yes. That's and I was like, funny. Dude, that's a fucking. I've been wanting. I don't own a Superman. Well, no, bullshit. Now I have a shirt with Superman on it. I've never owned a Superman shirt, but that was when I'm like, I would do that. I would get that one. That one's pretty. That one's so absurd that's the one it should be.
Yeah, I was this close to buying the Superman versus Muhammad Ali action figure like set, which was them in a boxing ring. But it was like $60, and I was like, I wrestled with it. I really wrestled with it, but I did skip it. But now that I'm talking about it, I wish I had it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty badass, dude. Did it come in like the ring and shit like that?
It came with the ring. It gave it a small ring, yeah.
I don't know if I could have resisted that one, man.
Yeah, it was pretty badass.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we're about to jump into things to get started, don't forget to pray to Kal-El himself. And during this broadcast, you can support our page by sending stars and a digital gift that helps us earn money. So come hang out and let's talk some comic book shit. On a Wednesday night, we'll have two guests with us. Jada and Rick will be joining us for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But we got some stuff to take care of beforehand. And that's some TV shows. We got the last 2 episodes of Gotham Knights, episodes 10 and 11. And Jason, there are only 2 episodes left of each of these shows.
Praise be to He, Kal-El. Thank you, Superman. I've been praying to you, Superman.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's do this. I'm going to focus on just the things I thought was interesting. I don't want to keep shitting on this. It's like, at this point, it's like kicking someone who's already in the gutter bleeding. Like, we all know what's going on. But all right, so episode 10 really centers around Harvey Dent and his relationship with Two-Face, and it's very much the comic book Two-Face. I thought, like, the abusive father, I know that was part of his thing, and it was caused by that trauma. I thought it was kind of cool choice to have him kind of leave him this message, like, take these pills. Come on, don't overdose. It's 17, and then like he takes the pills, and then he wakes up, and he's like, yeah, I thought you might have overdosed. Like, I don't know. That was interesting banter between, and I like that actor. That actor I think is actually doing a good job with what he has. So it was interesting to watch him be 2 different people. I thought he really killed it. And then the whole thing is, so Bad Harvey wants to take over, not for evil reasons, but because he wants to protect both of them, which is his job. Which is the job of any alter for, what was used to be called DID, identity disorder, whatever. You know what I mean?
I was going to mention this brought me right back to Moon Knight a lot.
Yeah, right. It absolutely, because it's exploring what DID is, and I think it does a competent job with Harvey. Like, I'm not gonna shit on it there. I actually think at this point, my biggest problem with this show is I just don't like the leads. Like they're all teenagers, but I really like the older cast. Like I like the guy who plays Harvey. I like the guy who plays the faux head of the Court of Owls. I like his wife.
What did you think of that? What did you think of that reveal in episode 10, where we find out that
Yeah, please
she's
spoil
really
it.
the leader and he's just like the figurehead?
I thought it was an interesting choice. I liked it. I don't know if they really earned it. I don't know if it was built up enough, but to be honest, I only half pay attention to the show, so I might have missed stuff. I'm not, I'm being honest, but I think it could have been earned more, unless I missed a lot of stuff, in the build up. But I thought it was interesting, and I thought, and again, I'll give this show credit for the same thing I gave it credit for last week. It goes for it at times. Like we see the mother the woman who's the head of the Court of Owls, who's the guy who we thought was head of the Court of Owls' wife. She murders their son because he finds out and he wants to protect her, and she just fucking murders him. And yeah, I think they allude to the fact that he's going to be brought back by the Iridium or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, we watched a mother gut her son with a knife. I kind of have to give it some credit, some street cred for like going there.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to say though, like, I agree with you on the Harvey Dent portrayal and the weird Two-Face type thing that they're doing. I mean, my guess is by over the last 2 episodes, whatever, it doesn't happen in 11, but somehow they'll be fused together, and because they've already in episode 11 they name drop Two-Face.
Yeah,
like
he gets the coin.
Yeah, he gets the coin, so we see this is really about to happen. Exactly. I kind of somewhat rolled my eyes, but whatever. It's not like we don't know what these things are. But his voice when he's evil, Harvey, did you not think it was very Heath Ledger Joker voice?
I absolutely. I could see that.
Okay, because I'm like, is it me? Yeah. And I kept listening every scene, and I was like, I felt like he was doing a pretty solid imitation of Heath Ledger's Joker voice, because he really sounded like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's trying to go for like a more casual, like I'm an agent of chaos thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if the direction was go watch The Dark Knight and Returns or whatever, The Dark Knight rather, and do a Heath Ledger impression. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction they gave him.
Because I really felt strongly about that, and then where things, the big twist in episode 11, I was like, seems a bit on the nose, but I know this is in my brain because I have the Heath Ledger thing in my head already.
Yeah, So, all right. So, I mean, we're done with episode 10, right? So we got to the reveal.
Oh, no. Well, hold on. Wait, one thing.
Wait.
One thing in episode 10 that started. And
You're right.
Go. Please I texted you earlier. I texted you the word earlier.
You're right, because it was a Gotham orgy. A Gotham orgy where it starts off with Taylor bending the knee to Duella. And then I think episode 11 starts with them waking up in bed, and she look quite an attractive woman. Just throwing that out there because they make her look crazy and dowdy, but when she was like in her like skivvies, quite an attractive woman. But yeah, so her and Taylor, because like Taylor finds out through the Court of Owls that in episode 10 that Bruce got his parents killed, which is why he adopted him. And then he found out that Robin knew, and so he gets pissed off and he goes dark and emo. And I just really don't like that guy. He's the worst of them, I think. But anyway, not the actor, just the character.
Yeah.
And then Duella, they're like, hey, maybe we should fuck because, Batman killed all of our parents. And so they do that, I mean, that's pretty much what happens.
I disagree.
And then they like really like each other, and then it's this episode, and then it's her birthday, Duella, and actually has a very nice moment with Taylor in bed where she's like, "Why this birthday is the only one that actually feels like something?" And he's like, "Because you're spending it with someone you like, and you're not ripping people off." And it's like, okay, fine. And so the whole thing here is her mother has escaped from Arkham. They don't say it, but that's obviously what happened. And she comes back to turn in Taylor secretly to win the reward and to kill Harvey Dent, who, big reveal, he was having an affair with her as evil Harvey, and good Harvey didn't remember, and he's really Duella's father, and it's not the Joker, which is a crying shame because they have told us 700 times an episode. They've reminded us that she's the Joker's daughter, and now I've got to unlearn this information.
What will you do tonight?
I just got to keep sitting here going, she's not the Joker's daughter. She's not the Joker's daughter. I think this is stupid. Like, I really think this, I don't like this at all. Like, I hope they walk it back and it's just her mother's delusional, but I don't think it's going to be. And again, we go for it here, right? Like, Duella, one of our protagonists, our good guys, shoots a tied up Harvey Dent point blank in the chest to kill him with the intent to kill him. And it's just, the coin stops it, which is hand wave. I'll give it to them.
Whatever.
It's not the stupidest.
We've seen that 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's not the stupidest thing that happened in this show, so we'll give it to him. And that's how he gets the coin. But again, like, as much as I think that whole reveal is stupid, I want to give it to the show for, like, having a fucking protagonist literally shoot a guy in cold blood trying to kill him.
Yeah, I don't like the reveal either. I'm with you on that. I don't know what the point of it is. Maybe there's something that we're not seeing. She also, they show a scene where she's in Arkham as a child walking the halls, and even Taylor questions this, and she was going to see the Joker, and he gives her a Joker card.
Yeah, right. And even Taylor says they just let kids walk around Arkham, like, which I think that's what we said. Like, how the fuck was she raised in Arkham? She'd be raised in a foster home. Even in Gotham City, she'd be raised in a foster home. It would be a nightmarish foster home that would probably be worse than Arkham Asylum. But still, even in Gotham City, children cannot be raised in mental institutions.
No, not in comic books, not in TV shows, not in movies, not in... Nowhere. There's nowhere in the multiverse that happens. Nowhere. Since we're talking multiverse tonight, and it seems like we are a lot. It doesn't happen. It's just dumb.
So that was this episode. We get a Cobblepot name drop.
Yeah, there's also a Riddler name drop.
Yeah, we get a Riddler name drop. I was going to say that. This is. Oh, and then I always ignore the siblings because I just don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess an important thing, and I actually did see this coming in this episode 10, which I'm sure so did you. It was telegraphed, but the one who actually they acknowledge is a high school student, the blonde girl.
Yes. Who we discovered is 31 years old.
It was 31 years old, yeah, in high school. But she's a lesbian, and she's just exploring that. And that's cool, and she's exploring it with the sister. I just don't like the sister. I just find her to be an obnoxious character. And I don't like the brother. And these two episodes were rife with this, and I hate this shit. Like, we should go. No, we've never had a family like this. It's like... I don't know, man. Like, even my suspension of disbelief, when you start dropping the words, I love you and we're family, and I've been watching this show for 6 weeks, and I know that, like, in showtime, they've been together maybe a week. It's like, come on.
So you're definitely not in with the Fast franchise because it's all about family with them.
I've only ever seen one of them, and no, I'm not. I can't know. The family's too much.
Neither am I. Whatever. It works. I don't know. Whatever. Like, Guardians kind of went with the family thing, but I felt like that was way more earned.
That was earned. They have this whole experience together. Like, they almost die together. They face the apocalypse together. Like, they have this earned family. These guys have been together for a month.
Yeah, it's not great with that, and also. The idea, like you mentioned, Stephanie Brown ends up hooking up with Harper, so they have a thing going on.
They bend the knee.
They bend the knee. So you got, let's go through the Gotham Knights right now. You got two of them there. They're bending the knee. You got, Duella Dent, as she is now, with Taylor. They're going ahead. So then the brother is the only one. Well, actually, sorry, the brother and Carrie Kelly are the only ones. So my guess is, I guess they're gonna have to hook up, and then maybe big orgy in the clock tower. I don't know, but there's also the brother also gives Taylor a pretty tight hug at the end of the episode. I thought they were gonna hook up then too, and it was just, I was wondering what channel I was watching for a minute, because I'm like, what is going on here? What version of Gotham Knights am I watching now? I don't know what the hell is happening.
I'm going to say this. If the characters all hook up on screen, I'm there for it. I mean, if the actors all hook up on screen, I'm there for it. If the characters all hook up on screen, can't. No bueno. They're all in high school, man. No.
Yeah. Well,
so if the actors do it, fine. But not
the characters are supposed to be in high school. And you keep trying to, like, you keep on like, wait a second, aren't you guys high school? What the hell's going on here? So
it's like fucking what's her face and Carteris from 90210, where she was like 40. It's like ridiculous. But anyway,
even Tobey Maguire when he was listen, Tobey's under and Peter Parker. He was Spider-Man.
Yes, but at least Toby has a baby face.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Fair enough. All right, so there's Gotham Knights. We got 2 episodes left of that. Hopefully, the final 2 episodes that we ever have to endure of that, and that's that. But a show we are not hoping, but only has 2 more episodes left, is Superman and Lois episodes 10 and 11. I will go through the cliff notes, the condensed version of episode 10, so we can focus on 11. So pretty much in episode 10, Pia escapes the DOD with help from Mateo, because he goes ahead and sneaks in this like cufflink looking thing and is injecting Pia with the cure for cancer and all that ails her, essentially, from Bruno. And it does bring her back. She uses her powers to escape, busts out of the DOD, and goes back to her family. I mean, it's kind of her arc there too. And she lets Lois know repeatedly, like, listen, this is who I am. That's that. Like, you need to help me get the fuck out of here, and that's it. We could have been friends maybe in some other alternate version, but this is what it is here. I need to get back to him. There's also a plot with a cake party that's going on with all the teenagers, and it's like, it looks like getting built building or abandoned building type thing. It results in Sarah ditching out of there with the former mayor's son. They're in a car. They avoid a deer. They go to crash. Jordan flies in and saves the day, right? It does save their lives, but then Kyle shows up, and he's like, all right, what the fuck's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. You guys should be dead. Starts piecing further his investigation into there's a superpowered person in Smallville, which leads him at the end of the episode to Jordan, and he goes to Clark's house, and Clark is in front of him protecting his son, and he's like, listen, shit's going down. I need to get out of here right now. And he can't hide it, so he has to kind of take off in front of him. Kyle finds out that Clark is Superman. Jaw drops. I thought that was a pretty cool scene right there, because you were waiting for that. They have a history, in high school and things like that. I'm sure maybe I can imagine Kyle bullying Clark around a little bit and whatnot. So there's some of that's going on. But Sarah does get a DUI after that arrest, and that comes to play more in episode 11. And that's kind of the brief roundup of episode 10. I mean, was there anything you wanted to highlight for episode 10?
Yeah, I mean, the highlight of that is you already did it. It was when Clark is like, just stop, stay here.
Yes.
And it's like my jaw dropped, because I was like,
he did it.
Holy shit. Like, imagine if that's the way it's revealed to you, that the guy you're now friends with, the guy who dated your ex-wife before you were married, the guy you bullied in high school is Superman. I mean, it was such an awesome moment.
It was, and I do love the way in episode 11 it gets picked up, because pretty much in the beginning of the episode, Kyle addresses that when he's having a conversation with Clark. He's like, listen, thank you for not laser eyeing me at some
Yeah.
point in time when I was fucking with you. And so, listen, Clark is like, yeah, it is what it is. Water under the bridge, whatever the hell you want to call it. We're done.
Clark is the nicest guy in the world.
He is. This Clark. I mean, whatever. He plays a Clark Kent that's not clumsy, but he is.
Oh, I love
just
it.
nice. Like it is.
Yeah, he's just. Yeah. He's a genuine good guy. He's like, yeah, people change.
Yeah, people change, and in back, he's probably like, yeah, I could have fucking tore you in half at any second, but I don't need to do that. What's the point? Whatever you were doing wasn't hurting me anyway, so who cares? But we also get the thing where Pia can't control her powers because of the injections from episode 10, and she's like getting some like sonic rumblings that are going on there in Metropolis. They're causing kind of like mini earthquakes that are going on, and that's kind of like going. Superman's trying to track her down, but they can't seem to find her and pinpoint her down. Eventually, though, throughout the episode, she becomes basically a ticking time bomb, and she's gonna go at some point. And it is heartbreaking to see Bruno like watching this happen. He's like, inject her in one scene, inject her again, and inject her again. And she's like, you got to let me go. You can't save me. And the look on his face in that scene is, it is, and then we're talking about the villain of the series so far, of the season. You feel bad for the guy. You genuinely do.
Yeah, we were talking about, like, earlier on, like, is he going to be a villain that by the end we're like, no, I get why he did what he did, or is he going to be a villain where, like, no, it was all a mask for his evil toilings? But these two episodes answer that question. No, he was doing it for love. He was doing terribly villainous things for absolutely fantastic reasons.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they stuck to that, because we haven't seen the last of Bruno, but it seems like the focus will shift over these last two episodes to set up, as I'm sure we're getting Lex Luthor in episode 12.
It's confirmed. We know.
Yeah, so we're gonna find out he was the bigger bad, the whole time. Was then Pia does refer to him as the devil a couple of times and everything. Like, you haven't seen him yet, but he was wrongfully convicted of what he was convicted for, and that's where this is heading. But the ticking time bomb that Pia becomes, there's a scene towards the end of the episode where she is going to go, and Bruno can't help her, Mateo can't help her, and Superman has to take her. He's the only one that can get near her, and you knew it right away where this was going. He flies her up into the sky. She whispers something in his ear, basically to say goodbye to my husband and my son, and she blows up in the air, essentially.
And I want to point out what a beautiful character moment that is for Clark this season, because the way he convinces her, the way he gets her to acquiesce and go, yeah, okay, you're right, is to say to her the one thing he has been avoiding saying to Lois the whole season. That's, it's okay to let go. Yeah. It's okay to not be in pain anymore. And I just thought that he saves the day by doing the one thing he's been most afraid of, facing that, sometimes it is okay, and sometimes this is how it has to end. And by accepting that with Pia, he kind of accepts that with Lois. And I know, again, beautiful character moment. The writing on this show is so good.
It is. It's tremendous. And the fact that they set that up for multiple episodes, unlike what we're talking about with Gotham Knights, shit just happens that's not earned. This moment was absolutely earned. And they did touch on that in one of the meetings that Clark was going to previously, about having to deal with that, and it pays off here. And Clark goes back and tells Bruno and Mateo, like, she said, love, now, I'll love you like now and always, which was their thing that they used to say to each other. So Bruno knows, like, he's not sugarcoating the shit. He even just gives him the, thank you thing. And that's it. And him and his son are obviously devastated seeing their mother and wife go. But though, that leads to they're in the DOD, and Bruno reaches a plea bargain to say, let my son go, whatever Mateo did, because yes, he did also break out a criminal out of holding, let him go. And he wants John Henry specifically to look after him.
Yeah.
which is a big moment. He says, "I know what kind of man you are," and that's a big stretch for that character to go to. He's like, "I'll tell you everything. Whatever happens to me, happens to me. I can get sent into a hole and throw away the key. Just watch out for my son."
Yeah, and I think that again, a moment that was definitely earned because we see previously, like when Pia is about to, go nuts and she's dying, um, John Henry's daughter comes and goes sees Mateo, and then Mannheim comes and is like, "Get away from my son! Get away from my son!" And John Henry comes and he's like, "You're gonna fight with me? You're gonna let me help you?" And it's like, oh, they thought they were there for a fight, but they were there to help. And he's like, "I know what you're going through." And it's like, I love that they set that up, right? Again, this was an earned moment of, I know what kind of man you are. You're the kind, the unspoken thing is you're the kind of man who comes to your enemy's house when he's trying to kill you to try to save his wife. That's the kind of man you are, because that's what I've just experienced. And, that was the unspoken thing between them. And it's just such great character moments. And real quick, while I'm talking about Mannheim, a lesser show, and I was not that I was afraid it was going to happen, but it was a possibility. A lesser show has Mannheim blame Superman for Pia's death,
Oh yeah.
right? But this doesn't. Mannheim literally says, when Mateo says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm taking responsibility for my choices." It's like a lesser show has this guy become this over the top supervillain. Like we would have seen that in later seasons of Supergirl. We would have seen that in later seasons of The Flash. Here, no, they don't undercut the humanity of this character, and they give him the redemption. And again, such good writing.
By the way, speaking of, you mentioned The Flash here. I didn't realize, I was reading something the other day, that the showrunner for Superman and Lois was actually the showrunner of The Flash in its early seasons.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought that was
sense.
actually very interesting that there is a connection there. But and they're taking it to the next level with this.
They
versus
are.
That.
Well, the thing is, those first seasons of The Flash were fantastic. It's
They were
only
great.
After season 5, it becomes a cartoon.
Yeah, that's when it did. But I can it makes sense that they do share a connection there. Also in this episode, the other plots that we get, Jordan's X-ray vision comes in, and apparently it also reminded us that he does have, an anxiety, because it seems like they haven't really touched on that in since season 1, if I remember right. And his anxiety comes in, and meanwhile, it's his X-ray vision started to come in while he's dealing with the stress of his mother, because Lois in this episode is getting her surgery now, and they're basically in the room when that's happening, and they're going to go in the waiting room, and he can't deal with it, and then the X-ray vision starts popping in, and Jonathan's trying to talk him down, like do the breathing exercises and stuff like that, and it's a pretty cool brother moment that they have, where he knows how to help him with when he's coping with that, and helps him work through it. We get Bazoombas in this episode.
Yes. Which
they got Bazoombas to go. I know what you're going to say, because I was thinking the same thing. I guarantee it.
Good.
We wanted to see what the restaurant of Bazoombas looked like, but they got it to go, and it's like
they did. But
okay,
I don't know if you caught a very, very quick glimpse of the icon on the bag.
Yes,
but it was a busty barmaid.
Yes, of course.
So they're not even hiding behind owls. This is just Tits, the restaurant.
Basically.
But I do think it's funny though, and I didn't put this together. And I'm stupid. I should have. But Lana calls it out about Lois's twisted sense of humor, because Lois wants the last meal she has before getting her double mastectomy is Bazoombas. I mean, it's very, very Lois Lane, very sardonic.
Yeah, and Clark reinforcing Clark because Lana makes a comment about the wings, and he's like, "See, they're known for the wings. They're known for the wings."
I thought of you.
That was great. And then Sarah's dealing with the guilt of her having a falling out with Jordan last episode based on the savior thing, because he even says, "You're only sorry because, I saved you now. That's why you're trying to repair this," because there was a jealousy thing that she was hanging out with the former mayor's son at that party, and then Jordan, was kind of been pushed into the friend zone, and they have that complicated relationship where they're trying to be friends but not really be friends, and it's there. Um, but she ends up not sleeping and stuff like that, and her Kyle and Lana talk her, hey, you need to get something to focus yourself on, and she ends up taking a waitress job. So that was interesting. And Kyle
I like
acts like a
Kyle in
bit
this
of a.
episode.
I was gonna get to Kyle.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Because Kyle, pretty much in the beginning, is, after he has the conversation with Clark about, hey, like you're Superman, that's cool and stuff like that. But he turns to Chrissy because she's there at that moment, and because they do this at the Smallville Gazette, and they get into the whole, oh, you lied to me and stuff like that, and blah blah blah. And I thought it was a bit irrational for Kyle to do that. But then they touch back to it on the end of the episode. He's like, listen, I've been kind of a dick about it. It's my bad. I'm trying to be a better man. And then they get it on and the Smallville Gazette.
They bend the knee.
And the end of the episode, we get another Bizarro sighting who looks like he's actually awakened now after everything and looks pretty pissed.
He's definitely awake and pissed, and I'm curious what's going on. I have no idea.
I was going to say, what do you think? Because I'm not sure where they're going with this. Like, is he pissed because they've been drawing blood from him constantly?
I don't know.
Or something like that? I don't know. Is he going to be like true Bizarro and just be like a total villain or something?
I mean, maybe like we're going to get a Lex Bizarro team up, right? Because, I mean, Bizarro, that's happened. We've seen that in their other shows. We've covered that in, cartoons on here. Like, it happens a lot. So I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe a Bizarro Lex team up.
Yeah. So exciting to see where that goes these last 2 episodes of the season. So we shall see. But we're gonna have to wait a little while because these don't come back until June 20th.
Oh, okay. We get a little reprieve, a little rest.
Yeah, we get a little time off from a week off before they wrap up their season. So
all right. I'm excited to see where Superman and Lois goes. Sad to see it go, but excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what they do with Lex. I am excited to see what they do with Bizarro. I'm excited to see the end of Gotham Knights.
You want to see the credits roll on the last episode, and pretty much that's it. Yeah.
I anyone who's watching this show who likes Gotham Knights, I'm sorry. I really am. That's all I can say. This is just not for me, and but I'm trying. I'm trying to be more positive, guys. I'm trying. I just talked about stuff I thought were interesting and cool this week.
It is a step up. So, all right. So that takes us to our movie of the week, the #1 movie in the world, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Let's drop that big old spoiler warning on the bottom. So you'll see on the ticker, we are going to spoil the shit out of this. So if you have not seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, come check us out another time. But if you have, let's get to it. And we got some guests coming in here to join us for this. And first up is Jada. Jada, what's up, man?
What up, bro? What up, man? How's it going, guys?
Good. How are you? I like the shirt, man. I've been looking at that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, dude. Fuck, bro. I just got home. I rushed over here. I actually should have still been at work, and I ended up swapping shifts to because we have the closing shift where you have to stay, count the money, and then we have once our doors close, you can go as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I swapped with the once the doors close, I could just go home. That guy I asked, he was like, I'm like, hey man, would you mind swapping just like the 30 minutes that I would have to stay? And he goes, oh, I thought I closed already. So yeah. I'm like, all right, perfect. So
dude, you just took me back. You just took me back to my retail management days there for a second, man. Like closing the register and everything. It was interesting, man.
Yeah, dude. And but fuck, I got I'm sorry, I'm here. Also,
I understand. I knew that was coming. We appreciate it. Little behind baseball thing. We were supposed to do this episode on Monday. I got some passes for the Transformers premiere.
You had some fun. Without us. It's all good, man. It happens.
Yeah, and then Jada was cool enough because he's a big Heat fan. Finals are going on, so We'll try to get him back for the second half here. We'll talk some Spider-Man, and we've been chomping at the bit to fucking talk about this movie for
hell yeah, dude.
a bit.
I haven't had the privilege of watching it again, to be completely honest with you, man. I've been so tied up. I've only seen it the one time, which is rare because I'll usually see it.
I thought you told me.
Yeah, I was supposed to, and then I ran some errands with my mom.
Okay.
Then when I have the choice of sleeping in, I do, because I'm usually up all the time.
I get you.
So I've been waking up like 2-3 hours before I have to go to work. So don't have time. I am for sure gonna see it this weekend because I have some time. But I can't wait to talk about this right now because wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it
Wow. Yeah.
It absolutely is. And I was telling Jason before we went on, we're in a weird moment right now. And Rick just texted me. Unfortunately, it looks like he's not going to be able to join us tonight. He's got I know he's a bum. But he saw The Flash last night at an advanced screening.
Yeah.
And that's a movie we're not talking about for 2 weeks. I saw Transformers, the movie we're talking about next week.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just so crazy how it's all happening at the same time right now.
Yeah, dude. Well, we were expecting this. We obviously said we were gonna have a very busy month.
Yeah.
I know had I been living in Miami, I would have seen both those films already. But Odessa, Texas, and I gotta wait like the rest of the normies now to watch a film. But I didn't go to the earlier screening for Spider-Man. I didn't go to the 3:00, but I ended up going to the 5:00 because I had to work.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I will say about this town that I miss so much about Miami is the spazzing moments of like the fan service.
Yeah.
I saw the movie by myself. Because my brother
had that. It's almost like watching it at home.
And I had gotten the tickets for my brother and I. He had to go to the DMV last minute to change his plates from Florida to Texas, and he was in there all day. And he's like, right before the movie started, he's like, "Dude, I'm not gonna make it, man. And sorry, I'll see you later." I was like, "All right, cool." And he was more hyped than I was, which is I didn't think was possible, but he was like ready to see this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt bad, but I mean, there were so many cool moments in this movie, and if you know the lore and if you just as a fan in general about anything Spider-Man, there was something for you in this film. Hey, look.
Yeah, exactly. We're been covered in Spider-Man tonight.
Yeah, dude. And you didn't have those. I mean, I could only imagine in certain theaters. I don't know how your theater reaction was. Like certain moments and certain cameos that you get in this, where I was like, oh shit, like looking to the side, and the guy next to me is just like, and I'm like, ugh.
It kind of kills it. It kind of kills it.
Yeah, dude. And I miss, and I'm like, I told my brother, I'm like, I fucking wish you were there with me, man, because I didn't have anybody to gush with, I didn't have anybody to be like, fuck, did you see that? I mean, I did personally, and it didn't take away from it. It adds to it. It doesn't take away from it. It just adds to that experience. And I've noticed that in none of the movies, anything has happened. The only movie that I heard people like kind of like cheer and whoop were fucking Fast X, where I was like, then I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm hoping that for the Flash, I get a cool crowd because I heard there's a lot of surprises, like old and new DC fans alike. Where I don't know anything besides what they showed us on the trailer. I heard the director spoiled some shit.
I didn't even know
it. I don't know what it is, and I've noticed because I watched some reviews myself on the movie. And they're like, there's a cool scene that was apparently spoiled by the director, kind of as a marketing, like, hey, we have this coming in too. We'll answer this question.
Yeah.
And the reviewer was like, you didn't need to do that, and it kind of sucks. It was Chris Stuckman. So I was watching Chris Stuckman's review, and he was saying how much he was like, I didn't know about it. I saw the movie. I thought it was awesome. And then somebody was like, yeah, I got spoiled for me moments before because I was reading an interview with Andy Muschietti, and he ruined it. But we're not talking Flash today. We are talking Spider-Verse, and what a movie. What a movie. This movie for me, I'm just going to go out and say it is a 10 out of 10 for me. It is probably, I think, my favorite Spider-Man film to date.
You're leading with it. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so. I think I can. Again, this is based off that one view. It can't change. My lists always change up and down. Fuck you,
It's all
Steve.
fluid. It's
But
all fluid.
yeah, no, Steve got fucking jokes. He's the clown here because he's got the fucking jokes. He wants to come at me. Anyways, but yeah, dude, I was just so in awe watching this movie from things I didn't know that me and Ed talked about, because I don't know too much of the Spider-Gwen story. I know she exists. I know she's a thing. I know she has her own comic books. But seeing that Peter Parker was Lizard to me was fucking super cool.
That was awesome.
Super cool. I thought that was such a fresh take. And then he's like, "Oh, that's from the comics." I'm like, "Fuck, I gotta do some deep dive on Spider-Man comics, man." Because
that was in the first 30 to 40 issues of Spider-Gwen that I had read.
Yeah.
And the other quick thing before I throw it back to you is, so we will whatever, each Spider universe, each universe we go into has its own artwork.
Has their own art.
Genius.
Yeah.
The artwork from Spider-Gwen is from her comics, which I thought was fucking unbelievable. That they nailed that perfectly. Like it's like a painting, and the emotions change with the background and stuff. Jason, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, the genius of this movie is like we have these disparate and completely different styles of art, like Spider-Punk, which is like off-putting, right? And Spider-Gwen, which is, as you said, like this beautiful painting. It's like, and it all works together.
Yeah.
Like how does this meld so perfectly?
Yeah, I thought it was a smart move too, especially like I caught part of Into the Spider-Verse recently on TV and just rewatching like 10 minutes of that, and I just saw Across the Spider-Verse. I'm like, the animation style, the choice to have each world have its own animation was genius. It really is taking it to the next level from because the first movie's beautiful, but this is like a whole nother thing.
This was next level, and it got to the point with me where my jaw was on the floor, and I was like, how did they do that? How do you get so many animation styles in one frame? Mind-boggling to me, where I'm like, this was the like epitome of movie magic. And mind you, we watch films left and right all day. It's kind of what we like to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sports and movies, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that they do where you're like, all right, they did this way. You kind of have an idea of how shit gets done,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not everything. We don't make movies or anything like that. But this is one of the times in a long time where I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? You know, it was just so cool. And I loved how the introduction to this film, we don't see Miles until what, like 20 minutes in? More or less?
Yeah, because they go with Spider-Gwen's origin.
It's Gwen's story in the beginning.
Which I thought was super cool. I was like, man, this is taking a while, but I'm loving it. And I loved everything about it leading up to it. Everything about it, the beginning and the animation style. And then we get, go to Miles world, Miles universe, and then you just see that animation we're used to seeing with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And just as he's, I know I'm kind of going everywhere right now, but as you get introduced to certain characters, certain art, the art style, just how it changes, fucking chef's kiss, dude.
Chef's kiss. The biggest jump too, from besides from the Spider-Gwen stuff, like the very painting style, was when they go to Spider-Man India, and he has his own thing there. But like Jason had mentioned, when Hobie jumps in there and he has his own thing, it's like very I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like British rebel punk rock type thing. Like I'm not sure what the term is.
Old school. Yeah, it's punk. It is punk. It's punk.
Like Sex Pistols type thing that's going on.
I was thinking, Ramones, all that shit. Yeah, is what I was thinking.
He jumps in, but you're right. Like it doesn't seem like it's like shoehorned or forced. Like it's just there.
It's not out of place.
No, not at all. But Yeah, and we're jumping with, but I guess so. Overall thoughts, you've got it as the best your favorite Spider-Man film to date.
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. It's always been a thought because part Into the Spider Verse, which is wild to me. I have it teeter tottering with No Way Home.
Yeah.
So I have Spider Verse, No Way Home, Spider Verse, No Way Home, going back and forth. And I think as mind blown as I was when I finished watching each of those films, this one left me even more like, oh my god, like what did I just experience? And it happens every time you watch at least the last 3 Spider-Man films, right? It
Yeah.
happens. This one again, it just left me in awe, and I loved everything about it. I've heard a lot of negative review. I've had somebody text me last night, in fact, saying like, "Oh, did you catch Spider-Verse?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I fucking hated that ending." And I get it because they're like, it doesn't feel like a complete film. I get it. I get why the people like, but even that person that texts me is very in the know of films and movie news and all this shit. So I was like, "Did you not know it was a two-parter?" And he goes, "I did, but I kind of like since it didn't say part one in any marketing, very little marketing."
Neither did
Kind
He's
Kill
of,
like,
Bill.
that's kind of
kind of
on
took,
him.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Well, that's what I told him. I'm like, I don't know. I hated and loved it. It was more, I hated it because now I have to wait. But I was that, and we'll get more into detail with that. But I actually, it feels like again, not even like a Kill Bill. It honestly felt to me like a Back to the Future Part 2. Like
That's a good
it just
comparison.
That's a good
cuts,
comparison.
and you're like, oh shit, like fuck, we gotta go to 1885 to see what's
That's
up with
right.
Doc. Now we're like, what the fuck is gonna happen now? But loved it. The one thing that I will say I like more on the first one, like kind of like hands down, is the soundtrack. The score in this is fantastic,
Yeah.
but the actual soundtrack, I felt I like it a lot because I've been listening to it a whole lot.
Mhm.
But I feel the first one had more tracks that I was like, just even long after the movie came out, I was still
Yeah.
banging that soundtrack. I felt like this one has great tracks, but it's not a press play album for me. It's not like a top to bottom, while the other one was more or less a top to bottom. I probably had maybe 1 or 2 skips on the other album.
Yeah, I
That's
can agree with that.
Yeah.
Regarding the soundtrack, I can agree with that. Even though I'll admit I have not had a chance to continuously listen to this one because this dropped on the same day as the new Foo Fighters album, so I was trying to listen to both.
Oh
Yeah, I was trying
yeah.
to listen to both on Tidal, so I need to give it more time. But I do enjoy it. I haven't
I've
had
heard
anything I've listened
I've heard like 4 or 5 tracks out that Foo Fighter album, and it's fucking awesome, dude.
to. It really is.
Yeah, it really is a good album. So good
Um,
shit.
Jason, so I'm sorry. So your overall thoughts on the film because we saw this together. So I did have my guy in the chair next to me as I was watching the film, and there was reactions, but we had to kind of like get going right after. So what were your
Yeah.
thoughts on this thing?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved this. It's funny because like I had stopped reading comic books when by the time Miles came around.
Yeah.
So my exposure to Miles is just like these movies and the video game and like the cartoons and stuff. But these movies are so good. I'm a huge Miles fan now. I have no nostalgia for him. I'm just a big fan of the character because these movies alone like are so brilliant. And I loved everything about this movie. I loved all of the new Spider-Man variants we got. I loved the overall story. I loved the how they were very self-aware when it came to like the Council of Spider-Man. We got the Spider-Man's around. We got the meme, which I thought was
yeah.
awesome. Uh, you know, so yeah, I mean, I loved everything about this movie. It's funny because I had forgotten. I knew, but I have a terrible memory, and so I had forgotten this was a two-parter. And we were like, I was watching it in my head. Whenever I watch a movie, I always try to gauge, for bladder reasons, how far do I have left of this movie based on what I know about plot structure. And we're going through this movie, and I'm like, we're still in the climax of this movie, and I had to be sitting here for like 2 hours, and then it's like to be continued. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, I forgot gosh.
So it's funny you say that was your train of thought, because that was mine, but it was the actual opposite, where it started. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a two-parter, and then I'm like, but I didn't think it was gonna be like that boom, like cut it. I thought they were gonna have a somewhat resolution and a bigger problem would evolve type ending. You know, like I thought it was gonna be something of the sort, and as I am watching it, I'm like, this is getting so good right now. And then I'm like, and I'm looking at my I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, they're gonna do us so dirty right now. And I'm like, I really don't want this to happen. And I just knew that time was ticking. And it was so it was I know they're gonna pull the plug right now, and I'm gonna be so pissed. But and I'm like, but I have no complaints. Literally had no complaints. And boom, they do it, and I'm just like, I'm like, all right. Immediately got on my phone. When is the next movie come out? And they had already announced that it was going to be March. I'm like, all right, not a full year, 8 months.
Not too
wait. Not too bad.
So my thoughts. I mean, I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. It is one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made. It's in the conversation because I know when we did our rankings last time when we did the No Way Home review, I think most of us had No Way Home and across Into the Spider-Verse back and forth. This is definitely in the conversation. I'm not sure where it's in the top 3 for sure. It's tough for me to still like settle in with it again to see where that is. But it's a phenomenal film. Love it. The ding that I originally, as I was watching the movie, I thought I had a ding on it that, like I mentioned, it takes a little while for the story to fully kick in, but I wasn't bored. I was just like, all right, it's cool. We're hanging out with these characters. We're seeing Gwen's proper origin instead of like a vague reference. And then we catch up with Miles, and that's really cool. And then once that happens and they meet up, like, then shit starts like it hits 100 miles an hour and doesn't stop. And that was cool. And I briefly forgot that it was a two-parter. And then as things were going on, I'm like, that's right, this is a two-parter. Yeah. They're going to pull out the rug from underneath us. But I think the way that it is, though, and I won't ding it for that because from what I remember correctly, that was decided once the movie was already in production that they were going to make it a two-parter, a la Kill Bill. So I'm like, fine, you broke it up into 2. It's less than a year wait. I can deal with that.
See,
the Easter eggs, the references. Everything. Go ahead.
You brought Kill Bill into it. No, you brought Kill Bill into it, and I think the perfect ending of this movie would have been all different Spider-Man clones or Spider-Man, like multiversals, like talking about catching Miles. Like, we have a right. He has a right to kill us. But we don't have a right to die.
Yeah,
it's like
just go full in Kill Bill on the fucking nose.
Just exactly on the nose.
Yeah. So I loved it, and upon a second viewing, when I was ready for the rug to get pulled down underneath me, I loved it. Highly recommend if you can see it in IMAX. Just the beauty of this film. That's the thing that stands out to me. As great as the story is, and I love the characters, the look of this film, the animation of this film is absolutely revolutionary. And
it's nothing like this has ever been done.
Anywhere,
nothing
ever.
Agreed.
I honestly think this is a lock for Oscar again. I think it's going to be
It has to be.
It has to be. Yeah.
There's no way anything beats this film. There's no way.
No,
there's not.
No other movie has even come close to animation style of what this has done. Again, this is made up of dozens of different animation styles working, plus live action, all working together, gelling. Like watching this, like I was thinking, this is as revolutionary as Who Framed Roger Rabbit was for the 80s, which, like that comparison, I mean, that was a huge technological innovation of what you could do. And watching this reminded me of that.
Yeah, because we do get a little bit of live action, and we can talk about Easter egg spoilers or cameos now, just wide open with it.
I mean, cameo. I think we're all talking about the same one, right?
Like, Donald Glover as the Prowler. What?
That is insane. And that's another moment where I was like, nobody's gonna clap about this. Not one person.
Jason, there was a gasp in our theater when that happened. It was
I gasped.
Oh shit!
I Jackass. I went, oh, I didn't expect
Yeah,
that.
dude, I did not expect that. I mean, seeing Mrs. Chang was like, oh
That was
man, that's
cool.
pretty.
That was cool.
I'm
Yeah.
like, they acknowledge. I'm like, all right, I don't care for these movies, but that is just
Agreed.
a nice little
Yep.
nudge. Fuck. When I saw Donald Glover, I was like,
It was so
oh
good.
my god, there's no way that they did. Finally.
And
Because
he was
you
in
get
the suit.
yes,
He was in the suit.
He was so great, man. And then you see a bunch of little, you see the PS4 Spider-Man, which I'm like,
Yes.
that's fucking cool, man.
But
Yep.
my favorite Spider-Man cameo is this one, which is the
Yep.
Iron Spider from the PlayStation game.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
This is my favorite one, and you see him walking down the hall, and I was like, I had to bring this action figure on because it looks awesome.
No, but
Well-
seeing that spectacular Spider, it just every iteration of Spider-Man was made somewhat of a cameo on screen. Even the Baghead one with the with the
With the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah. There's almost every Spider-Man you could imagine. I mean, they also, even though they're their previous clips, we get Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in this. We get Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in this.
Yeah.
We get
That
a
was cool.
reference to Tom Holland's Spider-Man,
Yeah.
which, by the way, possibly the line of the movie by Gwen when she hears about Doctor Strange from Miguel
Oh,
O'Hara,
yeah.
and she's
Yeah.
like, "Well,
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't be practicing medicine."
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was
Phenomenal
so
line.
good, dude. But I loved it, man, and I love that mention because I was like, oh shit, there it is, This is what we needed to just kind of have it connect to the MCU. There is a mention, and it's
Yeah.
just something so small that I was just like, this is so great, But it was so poetic to me to watch Donald Glover in a Spider-Verse film as the Prowler. Obviously, you don't know the history. He's kind of based off Miles, or Miles is based off him.
Yeah.
All because of the community episode, and there was the campaign and the whole nine, and just seeing him in Homecoming when we saw him, and I'm like, fuck, that's a cool
Yep.
that was a cool little tip of the hat
Mhm.
to him. And then now you see him in a full suit. It's just like
It's
coming along
fantastic.
beautifully. So
I
that
really-
cameo for me was fucking out of this world, man.
I really want to see Donald Glover as the Prowler in one of these Tom Holland Spider-Man or whatever. I don't even, it doesn't have to be Tom Holland. Give us a live action Miles. I don't care. But I love that character of the Prowler. I would love, because I'm a big Donald Glover fan. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because like I know him from Community first, so I
Yeah.
know him as like lovable comedian. And then I found Childish Gambino, but I'm such a huge fan of his. Like, I would love to see him as our fucking MCU Prowler.
Funny you mentioned that because Amy Pascal during the press tour mentioned the big reveal last week came out that we are getting a live action Miles Morales. That's supposed to be in the works.
So
Yeah.
my theory, I know we're jumping. I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
jump. I feel like in Beyond the Spider-Verse, they will introduce us to the MCU Miles Morales. I feel like that is going to be one of the endings, and that's how they're going to fucking.
He's
sprinkle
going
him
to
in.
jump out of the
Yeah,
animated and into the live action.
Yep, I think that, and it's something 8 months away. They can literally shoot a 3-minute scene and plug that shit in there,
Mhm.
and I think that's going to be one of the things. I think we might get. I have a feeling that we might get some Tom Holland in the next one as well. But I feel like the main thing that it's going to be their gateway, or the MCU's gateway to introduce our live action MCU Miles will be in the next film.
So I guess that raises the question there. So I was going to say is that, and I threw this on our Facebook page, I don't know if we're going to get Miles in the MCU. I'm
Yeah,
starting
that's-
to. I'm not. I wouldn't be totally shocked, but my guess is my theory to this is I think it's going to be Sony's Spider-Man.
Think so?
They have a Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
with
yeah.
no Spider-Man. They need a Spider-Man. I think Miles is going to be Sony's Spider-Man
Going forward.
I think he's the Spider-Man that's going to interact with their podge of whatever you want to call is going on over there.
That makes
whatever
me
the hell that is.
It
I'm
makes
not saying
me
I
so
love this
sad.
idea. I'm just I'm going to guess. I'm throwing
No,
out a theory.
I
don't
think
wanna be
you're
right about
right.
this. I don't want to be right.
But I think you are, because it only makes sense. Why would Sony give up their second Spider-Man. Like, especially if they're building the Rogues Gallery, right, with Morbius and checks notes the Vulture, which has no beef with Miles Morales. Okay, but
Does
like
that
it
matter
just
anymore?
depresses me if that's what's. It doesn't. It just depresses me that that's what's going to happen because Miles deserves to be in the MCU. He's a great character.
I want Jada to be right. I'd want to. Be
I
wrong
think
on this.
I honestly think, to be completely honest with you, because we have that Donald Glover and everybody has blown up about that, and everybody has been how fucking amazing it's been. What a cameo. Because we have him in the suit and he is a Miles Morales character, I think they're gonna lean towards it. I think they're gonna
I hope so.
I hope I'm right.
I do too.
I hope you're completely wrong.
I want to be. I want you to be right. I'm stating this.
I just don't fucking care for that world, dude. That what they've built so far for me,
it's garbage.
Jada, because it's not a world. It's something.
I hate it.
It's Jason's soulless cash grab.
Like I think
yes, exactly.
I think they announced somebody coming in for Venom 3. I forgot what the Venom 3 news that we got was. It was a recent, but exactly where I'm like, I don't care. Like, and especially in a Venom world where the only thing that was gonna get my ass in a seat is either to see him fight a Spider-Man or a Carnage, and they already fucking blew it with Carnage. I don't care. So
yeah, it's rough. And then we still have Craven on the way, and we have
which
I'm kind of intrigued. I'm intrigued.
All right,
only because I like him. I like
I like him also.
I love the character of Craven. It's just like how are we doing Craven without Spider-Man? What's the point?
Exactly. You know who's getting it right? The fucking the video game. Video game is Spider-Man 2 introducing Craven the Hunter with Venom.
I'm excited for that.
So did you notice that there was Miles's roommate is playing the upcoming Spider-Man 2?
Oh, I didn't even call
That's a gameplay thing that he has it's supposed to be from Spider-Man 2.
What happened? I'm sorry?
Miles's roommate is playing a video game in his room, and it's on the TV in his room, and it's supposed to be Spider-Man 2. Like it's an actual gameplay thing. Yeah, that was one of the random Easter eggs that are thrown into this.
Yes. What a world we live in, huh?
Sick.
It's just
sick.
It's so fantastic.
Cool.
I love that we fuck you, Tim. Wait,
I was waiting for that to get addressed, but
hold on.
Uh-oh, is he getting an Oreo?
Oh no.
Is that what's happening here?
We have a live on air eating.
Oreo. Wow, he has them available. Tim is gonna get proved wrong, I think, right about now.
Right now.
Wow.
Anyways, continue, boys. Continue.
No, so another one of my favorite cameos in this thing to get it back from I don't want to get upset and oh wow, there it is.
Fuck you.
Was the 60s Spider-Man re-emerging and popping in there. I thought he was great. Anytime they use him with the old cigarette voice.
Yeah, dude. I wish I would have gone back, because usually when I see a movie the second time, I'm on my phone. Like I'm in the corner and I'm just writing like single lines and all that shit, you know? And there were so many one-liners in this movie that I can't remember, but I remember laughing a lot. But the one that I remember was the horse one. And it's the wait till 3. You didn't wait till 3. That shit fucking killed me. I laughed so hard in that scene, dude.
We
get Spider-Man T-Rex in this one, which I thought was really cool.
I was just going to bring that up. Is that a real thing? Because
recent. It's recent.
Yeah.
All right, I need to read that comic. I have to read that comic. That is my stated mission. I will read that comic over the summer.
Yeah, we get him also. We get Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, which I thought was pretty awesome, voiced by Andy Samberg, which was pretty genius. There's also Spider-Man Unlimited.
I was chewing. I didn't want to.
Yeah, Spider-Man Unlimited is also in this, from the fucking Bizarro sequel to the Fox's Spider-Man from the 90s.
From the 90s.
Very strange. If anyone's ever seen Spider-Man Unlimited, it is fucking weird. It is very weird. But he's in this too. I'm trying to remember who else that we see. The main ones are Miles, Gwen, Spider-Man India, Spider-Punk, which seems to be everyone's favorite. He's like a big hit in this. who I
Hope
thought
was
was
great.
great.
I felt like Hope. I felt like Spider Punk was. I think I told you this. It was
Spider-Man Noir.
Spider-Man Noir from the first one, how he won us over and all that shit.
Yeah.
But he was my Spider-Man Noir in this one. He was kind of like, and he was the MVP of the film.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
He ends up saying "fuck you," and then he ends up saving. Well, not saving them, but giving Gwen the thing to be able to travel.
Yeah, because without that, then I mean they're basically fucked.
Yeah, which
Tim,
I thought
by the
was
way,
such a.
Tim's bringing in one of my favorite ones, Video Man. So for those who watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which me and Tim have bonded over for many years, fucking Video Man is in this. Is one of the most absurd characters from that cartoon. And it's an absurd cartoon on a lot of levels, but this was definitely one of them. Video Man, phenomenal fucking thing. It just makes you know Lord and Miller really fucking get the character and the lore and everything by pulling these things out of their asses. So
it was just a little thing. And there was another one right next to Video Man, which was like a green blog thing. I was like, what is that? Because I noticed Video Man. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think that was actually the scene where the PS4, he was in between them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was.
As the camera's going through, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And who else are we leaving out in here that are shit? There's so many. You mentioned Spectacular Spider-Man.
So
there's over 200.
There was no way to clock
there's
them
over
all.
200.
Yeah,
they said.
There was so many, man. There was so many of them. Half of the suits from the PS4 games were in there.
Yes.
Like
yes, they were.
So many of the suits, man. I'm like, this is so fucking.
Because those suits are awesome. They're really good looking. If you really played that game.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah, me too.
But and Miles' story in this is extremely fucking interesting. It harkens back to the whole, like the canon, right? Like Miguel O'Hara talks about the canon. I guess we could jump to him in a second because we didn't really touch on Spider-Man 2099. But Miles, the big reveal and the twist that he's not supposed to be his Earth Spider-Man died only because of this whole thing that was created and the wrong spider ended up biting him. They kind of throw Miguel hits him with dude, you were like a mistake.
You were a mistake, which
you were the original anomaly.
Yeah.
Which that line, let me tell you, harsh because I was watching. I was like, I was like, fuck. That scene was so good. Where and Miles is just not taking he's like fuck it, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do and I'm gonna prove to you why basically I was the chosen one, which leads me to believe how intense. Okay, so the big reveal. Okay, do you want to jump at the? Oh, no, you know what? We'll talk 2099. No, we'll talk 2099, and then I'll think the end.
Yeah, because we like to hit the characters first, and then we can dive in story more.
Yeah. But that line for me was just Oscar Isaac fucking killed this role. Everything about this guy Miguel, I loved. As cruel as he was, and as kind of cutthroat as he was, you understand why he is the way that he is, and I loved that. I love that about him. And that scene to me was just this, just the delivery of it, of how shitty it must make Miles feel, even though he doesn't take it. You get me? But fuck, just to hear that you have all this amazing and everything you've done beforehand, because you can't ignore what Miles did in the first one, and everything he's gone through so far, and to be told you're a piece of shit and this wasn't supposed to be your life, fuck, that stinks. It's
fucked up. And because Miles spends the entire first movie proving himself and becoming Spider-Man, and when we pick up with him, he's holding things down. But you can see he's still learning along the way, but he's come a long way from the first movie. And now it's like Miguel O'Hara's totally shitting on him and be like, no, dude, you were a fucking mistake. Fuck you. You're an anomaly. Pretty much we're going to end you. You're done. And they were working around him for most of the movie to, because of the whole canon thing that they were trying to do and mistakes that Miles was making. And it was you just mistake after mistake after mistake. So
I wanted to share my, I talked to my students a lot about these movies, right? Because they watch them too. And I had a student who had a really good theory. His theory is that Miguel is so angry at Miles. The reason is because Miguel himself is the first anomaly. because we're gonna find out that Miguel tried to change canon to save his family and failed or something like that, and he's angry because Miles actually
made it work.
Yeah, making it work. So
Yeah.
not my theory, it's my student's theory, but I wanted to bring it here because I thought it was really good.
I like that. I do think there's something going on with the canon. We're gonna find out like the canon's not right, or it's.
I agree.
Miguel's off on some base. That's actually a more articulated way to put it, like a very specific that he was the original anomaly. So that's interesting. Because we do also know Miles is the hero here. He's going to end up. It's going to work out for him.
He wins
at some point. Yeah, he will win at the end.
He wins.
But this movie does do a thing because the comparisons I heard going into this movie were The Dark Knight, Empire Strikes Back, and I'm like, wow, we're getting like
this movie's its own
the
thing.
elite.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was saying we were getting the elite.
No, it's just like those elite sequel levels, which you can't deny.
Okay.
You can't deny it.
No, I'm not denying it, but I think also it ends on a fucking note where the hero loses.
On a downer. Just like Dark Knight and just like Empire Strikes
and
Back. Absolutely.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
The heroes literally fucking die and fail.
Yeah.
So
look, can I tell you
definitely gets that.
The ending, right? The reveal of who the Prowler is in the original universe, where the spider came from, and the fact that it's Miles. Oh my god, I didn't see that coming. At first I was like, okay, what's going on? But then like when it's him and he looks so different and he looks so badass, and oh god, and he's going to be an integral part of that next movie, and I am so excited to see the Miles Morales Prowler, and apparently that doesn't exist in the comic at all. So this is like something fresh.
I don't know about not existing. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw somebody, Coyle Jandrew. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's a big comic guy.
Yeah.
And he said, he has this little segment on his Instagram lately where it's like, oh, if you like this, and he'll point the picture of Spider-Gwen. He's like, read this. And he's pointing at scenes from the movie. And there's legit a scene where he's like, if you liked him and it was Miles as Prowler, he goes, read this. Or if you liked him bad, read this. And the cover is the same Miles that you kind of see in the
shit, really?
And he's holding, like, I don't know if he's choking or if he's just holding Miles in the black spider suit, and he's like crunched over like that. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is some story arc. I'll probably reach out to him because he was part of the Schmodown. So I have somebody that knows him, and I'm just going to be like, hey, where do I find that? Because I would like to read that, because I was one where I usually get good at guessing. We've seen so many movies. We kind of know where they kind of go for the most part. This was one that literally caught me by surprise. Even seconds before, I didn't know what was going to happen. So when Miles obviously goes to the universe, well, he goes, I forgot how the machine works again.
It's Earth 42.
Yeah, I know it's Earth 42, but it's not obviously Miles. Earth, I mean, so Miles got bit by Spider number 42 that was supposed to give Earth 42's Spider-Man, right? And then he goes into a machine where it sends him back to his world. Right. The only thing is that it sends him to Earth 42, which is not Miles's world. Then he goes into his room. He confesses to his mother to tell him, I'm Spider-Man and I need to fix the problem, because if not, Dad's going to die. Because in his lore, in his story, in his future, his father's supposed to die, which is how I originally knew what happened with Miles in the comics. And though when they did the whole Prowler thing, I was like, oh, that's different. That's different. That's not how I expected this shit to go down. Anyways, so when his mom's like, who's Spider-Man? I'm like, oh, like and it was at that very second, like I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, and immediately when she says that, and he's like kind of like looking around, whatever, he says, like, I mean, you see that he's in Earth 42. Then after that, Uncle Aaron walks in and he gives them that big hug. So you automatically hear the Prowler music on it, and you're like, oh shit, the Prowler's alive here, you know. And even then, when he's telling him, "Hey, we gotta go, we gotta do this or whatever," and he sees that it's different Miles or whatnot, he knows that something's obviously up. Lures him to a roof, and then you get the reveal. Thinking this whole time, I'm still thinking Aaron's the Prowler,
Yeah,
and
so
you
he
get
starts
the
putting on the
reveal.
glove.
Oh, I love that scene.
It's so beautiful. And then you get the reveal that he's not the Prowler. It's actually fucking Miles. Miles is the Prowler in this universe where there's no Spider-Man and everything's just gone to shit because the spider never made it home.
Yep.
Now,
And I think it's so. I think
sorry, go ahead.
No, real quick. I think it's super cool that we're literally getting to see like the reason Miles of Earth 42 becomes the Prowler is because our Miles gets the spider bite. Because if the spider doesn't bite Miles, that world has a Spider-Man, and it isn't like this dystopian cesspool where a guy as good as Miles becomes a villain, you know? So I love the fact that it's like the best Miles facing off against the worst Miles, and it's kind of they're interconnected. One kind of created the other, like, you know, and I just thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And I left my jaw on the floor, and then I started thinking, I'm like, I don't know if this is just out there. I'm just how my mind started working. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, if that happens, so we know that in Earth 42, Earth 42 Miles becomes Miles. I mean, becomes Prowler because there was no spider to bite him. He becomes a villain, right? Kind of. Do you guys have a feeling that Aaron Prowler in Earth 42 maybe passed the torch to Miles? Like he was maybe the Prowler beforehand, and then he's like, my work, like, you know, someone's got to carry on this torch legacy, what have you, and then he kind of passes the mantle on to villain Prowler Miles, because it's kind of how I took it, like just the colors Aaron was wearing, it seemed like he was a Prowler, and I know that's probably
I could
just
see that
to lure, but maybe like a passing of the torch. So then I started thinking, what happens if obviously the spider wasn't supposed to bite Miles, where there was a Peter Parker that died,
That's
and
what I was going to.
he ends up kind of sort of needed to become the Prowler in that world.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say is that the spider was supposed to bite somebody. Like, could have been Miles, could have been that world's Peter Parker. We don't know. But this Miles also didn't have Spider-Man to inspire him because, don't forget, on Miles's world, he was inspired by that Peter Parker, that Spider-Man, and that's why he picks up the mantle after he dies. So there's no Spider-Man to inspire anyone to do good and everything like that and to be the hero. So it could have been Miles. I think we're going to find that out in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Whoever that person was supposed to, maybe we meet another Peter Parker there. Maybe there's a twist and it was supposed to bite somebody else. I don't think they're going to just leave that dangling. I think we're going to find that out.
Oh, no. I think that's going to be one of the major plot points of the next film.
And as far as though with Aaron, I don't know because they do mention, and by the way, love the fact that J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson, still voicing him in every universe. He is it. I love that. He does mention the Sinister Six cartel, who is what they're a part of. So I wonder if Miles is the Prowler of that Sinister Six, and maybe Aaron is someone. Maybe he's the Tinkerer, because maybe he built that for him or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like we're gonna see that Sinister Six, and technically, this would be the first Sinister Six that we see in a movie. Because we haven't got exactly Sinister Six yet. No, we got close in No Way Home. We got 5.
Yeah.
We didn't get 6 though.
Yeah.
Who we missing?
In what was that?
Who were we missing?
Well, I mean, we had Doc Ock.
We could have had Vulture.
We could have had Vulture, but we were wasting him in fucking Morbius.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. We should have had Vulture, at least a cameo.
Yeah, we should have had Vulture, and that would have been fucking great, man.
You would have completed it. You could name me Vulture, Doc Ock, Sandman, Electro. I mean, Lizard. Come on, like I would have been ecstatic with that. And Green Goblin, boom, that's a perfect Sinister Six.
That would have been great. And yeah, Keaton playing that role again. I think we've gushed over Keaton playing that role. He was just so good in that.
Yeah,
and that would have been fucking perfect. But they went ahead and send him to the Sony universe. which makes no
For
goddamn
reasons unknown.
I'm like, makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
No sense at
but
all.
Whatever. But yeah, so I'm that ending had me again, and then you get the hit with the to be continued. No post credit beside no mid credit except for the reveal of what the next movie is gonna be.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all you get. You gotta wait 8 more months, and we gotta wait. And it's sad.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
It was kind of a gut punch like Infinity War. That was the kind of gut punch that I got there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, question: is Nick Cage going to be in the next one? Because we saw Spider-Man Noir. So is he present?
They got the old gang back, baby.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm very happy about that.
Penny
John
was
Mulaney.
there. John Mulaney's Spider Pig was
Spider-Ham.
there. Yeah, Spider Ham. I keep saying Spider Pig because of fucking Simpsons. I always say that. But yeah, John Mulaney. Everybody was back, and that's one of the things that I loved about that ending. Just that final shot of them going to go save Miles, and they got the gang back because they were honestly
it was awesome.
They were missing in this film, man. I love their characters so much in the first one, and yeah, we got a bunch of cool shit. But I'm like, I really like their dynamic throughout that whole first film.
I agree.
Even the scene where they go to May's house, and then you have Scorpion, and you have Tombstone, and Doc Ock, and everybody. That scene is so fucking cool in the first one, and I wanted something of the sort with this one. We didn't get something like that, not in this one.
And Scorpion shows up briefly and gets totally disposed of by fucking Miles. While he's dealing, like he's talking in the beginning when we first
we haven't mentioned the spot at all.
That's where I was going. I was steering it. I got you.
Yeah, dude.
So what are our thoughts on the spot though? I mean, he's pretty damn funny at first, and then you find out shit gets real with him as the movie goes on. Like he becomes a real serious fucking threat.
And that's kind of what I like, how they said that, how they were kind of making, the hero of the week or what, villain of the week or villain of the day or some shit like that. And he kept saying, like, stop fucking with me. And essentially, right? And then he just starts becoming just so powerful. And I feel like he's going to be a fucking force in the next film as well. I think we're going to have to deal with 2 major baddies in the next one. Like, some major shit's going to go down because of this man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was an awesome villain for this because he starts out comedic and then becomes really, really menacing. I love the fact that much like the Prowler that we were just talking about, like his fate is connected to Miles. Like he exists because Miles fucked up in the first movie. And I kind of think that's brilliant because Miles is green and that's kind of the point, right? And I don't know, the fact that this movie is kind of exploring like, well, what happens when you go out and you superhero and you fuck up? Like it comes back to haunt you, and also the character reminded me a lot of the Alan Tudyk character from Doom Patrol the first season.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody. So I love that character, so I dug that as well. But I love that. I think he's the perfect villain for this movie.
No, he was. One thing, and I loved how it was all something so minute in the first film because
just the guy that got hit with the bagel.
Which, if you rewatch that movie, you don't even see his face or not. He launches it from far as the doors are closing, and the guy gets hit, and that's it. That's what you get. And he was the next big bad in the next film, and I'm like, bro, this is dope. This is so cool, man. Yeah, I was gushing about the film Friday morning at work, and everybody's like, "Oh, I had like 2 coworkers like, oh, I've never seen the first one," and I'm like, "Sit down right now and just watch it." We were really slow at work. As that scene is playing out, I was like, "Pay attention to the bagel. It's very, very important in the second movie." And they're like, "What?" And they see it. They're like, "What happens with the bagel?" I'm like, "That's all you need to know."
Don't forget the bagel.
Yeah, don't forget the bagel scene. And then the next day, I guess they saw it that Friday night, and they were like, "It's so crazy how a little bagel was the cause of everything going to shit in the second movie." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's just great little. I don't even know whose idea that was. Like, hey, why don't we do this?" It's
brilliant. It was
fucking brilliant, man. It was so good.
And Peter B. Parker, I was actually super excited to see with Mayday Parker. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about Mayday Parker and the comics and
Nope.
stuff like that, she ends up being Spider-Girl down the line and stuff like that. Obviously, you see her as like the fucking infant now, and I'm hoping that they give her some shit to do in this one besides just being carried around by Peter. And the Peter also really having that when they're chasing down Miles, and he says like, "Hey, listen, I only had her because of you, because of like my time with you." And I thought that was a pretty heavy fucking moment there.
It was.
It was.
It was beautiful.
It was.
Like character with it.
Yeah, no, it was, and I love that. And then when they were like, "Oh, you're the what was it? Your worst teacher ever, the worst sidekick ever, or whatever."
Mentor, you're the worst
He's
mentor.
just been worst mentor ever, and then he's just Miles is just fucking going through everybody. He's like, "I think I did a pretty good job, bro."
He just took all you guys out. He has us chasing, so it must be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, man.
I actually love that moment where they're like, "What are you thinking? You're not going to get it away. What's your plan?" And he's like, "I don't have a plan," or whatever. And then he has that exchange with Miguel, and he's like, "Well, I did lure all the Spider-Man away from your your headquarters."
Yeah.
And Peter B goes, "He did have a plan."
Yeah, that was good. Man, he was great. That's another one that I wanted a little bit more of. I wanted to have, but I think again, everything from the first one, the teaming up, the teams and all that. I think this is what the big payoff in the third one is going to be. Like
that they come back and because I think they wanted to focus this more on Miles and bring in the new Spider-Man. So the big finale in the next one where they all get like hopefully all shared screen time and no one kind of gets like kicked to the curb.
Yeah,
because that would fucking suck. Jessica Drew, by the way, also pretty badass, and then it was interesting they went with pregnant Jessica Drew. Yeah, on a motorcycle. She was pretty awesome. I liked her a lot too. Trying to think if there's any other Spider people that we did not touch on or anything. Like
Jessica Drew was cool. Obviously, Miguel was fantastic.
Yeah,
I liked the beginning of the film too, with his parents and the dynamic of the family and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I wasn't bored watching this film, and a lot of people. It does take a while to get going to what we're essentially we signed up for when we go see a Spider-Man film. But I don't know if it's just me as a father or what. I like these moments in these films where just the family dynamic of it. I was not bored at all. That's why. And again, I had some people tell me the same thing. They're like, "Oh, the second half is way better than the first half." I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I think it was just an equally great film overall. Fucking drawing of the vulture in the beginning.
Yes, Italian vulture.
Awesome, dude. Yes,
dude. The Renaissance Leonardo da Vinci vulture was brilliant. And again, I want to read that comic book.
Yeah, that was really cool. So it goes back to, I'm like, man, that whole thing with Gwen and her dad and her revealing, and then her making the choice of do I stay here and get arrested, or obviously at that time we think that that Captain Stacy is actually gonna do it. Mm-hmm. And then she has to live with that. And then obviously Jessica Drew talks to Miguel, tells her to go. But all that decision making that she had to do, and her dad talking like enthusiastically about the case. We're gonna get this guy or this girl, or we're so close to the case. Having her in his living room, not knowing, and her fucking falling apart.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Her comics look good, dude. If you get a chance, grab a graphic novel of Spider-Gwen and just check some of that out. Her shit is fucking cool, man. It really is. There's also a moment in the original Spider-Verse story in the comics where when Main 616 Peter meets Spider-Gwen for the first time and has this whole like what the fuck moment, because remember that's never been touched upon in these movies, that the relationship of Peter Parker and fucking Gwen Stacy.
Yep,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing where he's just like taken aback, like he's like blown away by her, like you're alive and stuff like that. After the whole thing that happened with them. So, but I get it. They're going more now where it's the Spider-Gwen shipping with Miles Morales, and that's fine. I mean,
yeah,
you would assume this Peter B. Parker never had a Gwen Stacy, perhaps, and that was that. So
he's lucky he had a Mary Jane. He's pathetic.
He's got a lot of shit going on, man.
He does. I love that character so much.
yeah, he's pretty great. I mean, I think that kind of I got everything I needed. I had to touch on. If Rick was here, I was going to let him do a 1 or 2 minute non-spoiler for The Flash. So I mean,
do you want to do a 1 or 2 minute non-spoiler for Transformers?
Transformers?
Do it.
I guess so. I could.
Do it.
Yeah, I can take off the spoiler warnings. I'm not going to. So the reason we got postponed is I did attend the Brooklyn premiere of Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Pretty sick time. Got to meet some really fucking cool people there. Overall thoughts are, I liked it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. It's better than all the Bay movies, in my opinion. It's a natural sequel to Bumblebee, but I may have told you guys separately, I'm just having a lot of trouble comparing it to Bumblebee to see which one is necessarily better because of the scale of the films. Like Transformers: Rise of the Beast is such a larger scale film, and Bumblebee was such a small scale. I don't know, but I will say Rise of the Beast is more of a Transformers film.
Okay.
So, like, you get more Autobots, you get the fucking Maximals, whatever. None of this is spoiler. This is in the trailer. Unicron and everything. So it's wild. The soundtrack is fucking bonkers.
That's what I'm looking forward for.
Oh my god, is it incredible? It's 1994, New York City, fucking hip hop. It was great.
That's awesome.
The crowd reactions from seeing it in Brooklyn were a whole nother thing, and you guys will understand why when you see Transformers, because there's shout outs to it. I also didn't realize that the main character that we get is from Bushwick. So that's also pretty awesome. Nice. That's there. So there's a lot of hitting home with it, but I think it's a huge win. It's taking Transformers in a awesome direction, and there's no post credit. There's a mid credit. Pete Davidson, great job with Mirage.
I heard
he's not distracting in any way. Yeah, because usually I'm like, oh, Pete Davidson's playing Pete Davidson. No, Pete Davidson does a nice job with Mirage. Yeah, and I just to stay very vague and non-spoiler, fun, a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, a lot of action. So I think you'll like it. It doesn't go to Bayham action. It reels it in with what it should be. It doesn't go crazy with the scope and stuff like that. So I had a blast with it. I think you guys both will too.
And I think the more important question is, Ed, how nice was Peter Dinklage?
Yes, I got some of that on posting. Yes, I caught him at a moment where he just had a face. He was super nice. John DiMaggio was super nice, and yes, Michael Bay was very nice. As much as I banged on him with a lot of things, he was super nice. And by the way, the picture I had posted is directed by Michael Bay, because Michael Bay was telling me to like lower the camera for a second and things like that to make sure I got me, him, and my wife in the shot.
Did you tell him how much you hated his direction?
I wanted to.
Like, it was the best picture Michael Bay ever directed.
Yes, it's the best thing. It's the best thing he's directed since
Bad Boys. Okay, I was gonna tell you, bro. Hey, I like The Rock. I love The Rock. I think The Rock is.
Love The
Rock. The Rock is brilliant.
Yeah.
Love Bad Boys.
Love Bad Boys.
Pain and Gain, I actually like.
I'm a hit or miss on that one. There's times where I like it, and there's times where I'm like, no, it's too much Bay. 13 Hours, I love. I do like 13 Hours a lot.
I didn't like 13 Hours, surprisingly, because I love John Krasinski. I don't know. I felt like it was dragged out a little bit, and it wasn't. I don't know.
I mean, all fucking Michael Bay movies are like 30 minutes too long.
Yeah, you don't need a 3-hour Transformers movie like at any point in time. So that's another thing. The runtime of Rise of the Beast is where it needs to be.
It's like 2 hours, right? 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
Smidge over 2 hours. So it's not dragged out. But I was also letting the excitement of Jade, I know you've seen stuff at premieres and stuff, like you get maybe an extra boost of excitement. And I'm like, I don't want to be a homer about it. I'm seeing it again in IMAX on Sunday. So I'll get a week in between screenings before we talk about it next Monday. So there's that. But I was very, very pleased with a lot of stuff in it. So
you mentioned Unicron, and I have this fucking thing has been like eating me alive. Doesn't he come out, if I'm not mistaken, because I've only seen it once, in The Last Night or in Age of Extinction?
So
I forget which one it is.
when we see it in a couple of weeks, I have not watched Age of Extinction or The Last Night in its entirety because I can't make it past 15 minutes of those movies. I want to slip my wrist. But
someone has decided we have to watch them all.
Yeah, some asshole decided this fucking idiot. But but apparently there's some weird shit where like Unicron is Earth or some insanity.
Dude, I've seen both of those one time and I don't remember except some Merlin shit and some robot. I mixed those two together.
I remember
so I don't really it's all one big ass movie to me because they're both very similar. But I remember Unicron, if I'm not mistaken, I remember Unicron being in one of them. So did they retcon that shit? I don't know. So that's why I was like, when I heard Unicron's name in the trailer, I was like, wait a fucking minute. I thought we saw this guy already.
So that's the thing is that when I mentioned it when we covered Bumblebee, is the thing is Bumblebee was like we're gonna throw this out there. And if it needs to be a reboot, it'll be a reboot. And if it's not, it's a prequel. So we'll see how this goes. And apparently it was successful. And they're like, it's kind of a reboot, I guess.
Reboot.
So this, it's a reboot because I don't the stuff that happens in Rise of the Beast and in Bumblebee does not exactly add up with the things we learn in the Bayfront.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking too. Because
it's a different timeline.
Yeah, so that for me is I saw Bumblebee last night in preparation for tomorrow because I knew I had to do the show today and the game was on. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch a movie today. So I saw Bumblebee last night. I forgot how small scale that movie was. I don't know why. I thought it was gonna. I don't know why I remember Optimus Prime coming in the movie at some point in the middle. No, he just comes out as a hologram and at the very, very end.
Well, Cybertron, the scenes on Cybertron in the beginning, when he's fucking kicking ass,
which is one of the best fucking scenes ever in any Transformer. I think bar none. Yeah. So, but I was watching it last night. And I was like, damn, this movie is really small scale compared to everything else we've gotten Transformer wise. And that's probably why I enjoyed it so much also. Because even I saw it like twice before. I think yesterday was my third time watching it. But it's one of those movies that I know I like, but I don't remember in detail what happens. Completely forgot how much it reminded me of E.T. because it reminds me of E.T. like a motherfucker. And how much just how great Bumblebee was in that. Bumblebee kicked so much ass in that movie throughout. It's just so fucking cool. So this one does look bigger. It looks like a bigger scale film. It doesn't look as small but I remember again, I always thought that Bumblebee did have a lot more action than it did, and it doesn't. It's beginning, tiny little bit in the middle, and then the ending. Obviously, the when they're resolving the climax or whatever. But I don't know why I remember it kind of being more action packed. And yesterday it ended. I'm like, man, I fucking love this movie. This movie's so great, and it's been getting such positive reviews. This new one, where I was a month ago not excited for this movie. I was gonna watch it regardless because my mom loves Transformer movies. She loves all of them. Loves them. Wow. My mom loves these movies. I invited my mom to Spider-Verse. She's like, no, I'll catch that at home. I'm like, The Flash. She's like, no. She goes, you better take me to Transformers. I was like, I got you. We're seeing it. We're seeing it tomorrow. And this just looks larger on scale. And then when I heard it was 90s, and I heard that Wu-Tang was gonna make an appearance and 94 hip hop was gonna make it, I'm like, I'm all in. And then you're getting your positive reviews, coming from a guy that hates almost all of them, and then this guy saying I really liked it. I'm hyped.
The live action Bumblebee I adore. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, also one of my favorites. Now, the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, I'm interested to revisit it again because I didn't hate it for a long time. I hate the sequels so much that it started making me hate the first one. That's how much
same here.
It was that's what I think started happening.
I don't like 2, 4, and 6. I told you this. I like 1. I like 3. I am a defender of 3. I like 3, but I haven't seen it in a while, so I might change my mind. I don't know. But I like 1, 3, and Bumblebee so far. So, half and half. They're 50% for me right now.
The worst planning in meetup in history is between Megatron and Sentinel Prime. Dude, I'll see you on the earth. Okay, fine. Wait, sorry, we missed you by 100 years. My bad.
My bad, brother.
What the fuck is going on? Whatever. I'll save
Yeah.
that for a few weeks. I'm gonna get pissed off again. Transformers is in a fucking great place right now, and I'm happy about that.
That's
because
good.
I've grown up with Transformers. I was excited at that premiere to see Peter Cullen more than anyone else there.
Did you see him?
I saw him. My wife was online to get popcorn with him.
Yeah, I saw that.
Bonkers.
I saw that you wrote that.
Bonkers to me.
Did she say hi to him or no?
She was like almost like nervous for a second because she's like, I don't have the connection with him that you did. But
Yeah.
you were like, you made me nervous about it there. She also felt like kind of bad, like blowing him up. So,
That's crazy.
Whatever. It was a blast. But I can't wait to talk about it in detail with you guys because I'm gonna just curve it because I don't want to spoil anything. And I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts to share with you guys.
I heard there's some pretty cool shit in there, man. So
yeah.
Yeah. And then we got Flash the week next week. Finally.
Yeah. Finally.
I think that's dude. I am so and the more like people are fucking talking about it, man, and the more excited I'm getting. And it doesn't have like excellent reviews by any means.
It's over 70 now, though.
Yeah, it's over 70. But I thought with the hype that it got at CinemaCon, I thought we were going to be sitting mid 80s, low 90s with the Flash reviews. I personally think I'm going to love this movie because the little things that I've seen them nitpick about. I'm not trying to see too many reviews because I don't want anybody just to slip. But there's always two reviewers that always go, and they both had the same complaints where I'm like,
Chris Stuckman?
All right, Stuckman and Jeremy
like
Johns.
Okay.
Stuckman and Jeremy Johns are my guys, man. And they both kind of said the same thing, like throughout. And I don't know if you guys watch this guy named Cody Leach. Cody Leach, I've got a new I found him because he does a lot of horror film reviews. Okay. But he actually did see the Flash, and he doesn't release the reviews until like the day the movie comes out because he goes to see it in the movie and then he reviews. He doesn't really go to an early screener, but he has one for the Flash because he's like, I had to do this. And overall, he's just like his major complaint. He loved the movie throughout. He's like, the ending. He said the CGI doesn't look done in certain scenes, where it looks like a PS3 game at times, like noticeably bad. So he's like, there's some things in the third act that are really bad. He goes, but there's some scenes where it looks spotless. So he's like, it kind of bothers me that this movie had so much time and it's not like, he's like PS3 to the CGI in 2023 is not okay. He's like,
is there a chance they clean this up in the next 2 weeks or next week or so?
I don't know, dude. I don't know, but that's been, if you watch any review, that's been everybody's complaint. It's just how bad the CGI looks.
Well, I will say, and this was on Chris Stuckman's review of Rise of the Beast that I listened to earlier, because he recorded it after he saw the Flash. That is not a problem for Rise of the Beast. The fucking CGI is spectacular.
Yeah. So it's insane. But I'm hyped, man. We have a good month, man. I already saw for me a 10 out of 10 film. I don't think the next two will be, but as long as I'm just entertained and happy. And so far they've gotten positive reviews. I'm very hyped for I thought March was gonna be unbeatable, but March was
wild. And then is Indiana Jones like 2 weeks after Flash.
Yeah, which has been getting shitted on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to each their own. We'll see. I'm trying not to even let that cloud my judgment because I love the series. And I love James Mangold, which is so crazy to me, to be honest with you, that it's getting such shit reviews because of the director. I think he's an excellent director. Yeah. So it's kind of shocking to me. But yeah, man, I'm hyped. We have good shit coming up, man.
Yeah, Jason, good.
And even more hyped. What I'm more hyped for is Ed and I have tickets to see Tommy Wiseau's The Room at the end of the month, and Ed has never seen it in its entirety.
I saw it on my phone on for free on YouTube.
Who hasn't seen it?
I saw it on my phone in sections because I wanted to see the Disaster Artist. So I was like, I have to watch The Room beforehand. And I was on I'm on the bus and on the train at the time, and I'm watching this thing, and I'm looking around like,
you're
what the fuck
breaking
is going on right now?
You're breaking my heart, man. Oh my
Lisa!
God.
Break him.
You're tearing me
Break it,
apart.
man.
Jesus.
There you tear me apart. Look, I can even fucking quote that movie. I've seen that movie
I
maybe
love
twice.
that movie.
But I'm gonna see it in
and-
the
I've seen it
theater.
like 10 times.
There better be some
I've
spoons
seen it in the
and
theater
shit.
already. That's how much
Oh,
I like
really?
this movie.
He saw it with
yeah, I've
Tommy
seen it.
Wiseau there.
I met Tommy Wiseau.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Mark. Oh, really?
Oh, hi, Mark.
That's funny.
Yeah.
My cousin told me about
super
this
nice.
movie so long ago. And I remember he's like, dude, it's a movie so bad that it's good. And I was like, all right. And I started he's like, showed me clips. I'm like, I fucking can't with this shit. And I honestly didn't see it until Disaster Artist got announced. Not released, but announced. And I was like, all right, I guess I gotta watch this shit because I fucking loved James and Dave Franco. So I'm like, I gotta watch this shit. And I saw it and I fucking laughed my ass off. And I'm like, this is so bad. And I liked it.
It's wonderful.
I liked it. I was
it.
like, it's I'm like, yeah, I'm like, and we were supposed to do a tradition every year to watch it the day after Christmas because that's when we saw it first. And just a bunch of friends. We have it since like I think that was the only time we saw it together. But then Disaster Artist came out, we saw that, and that was awesome. So
it really was. I'm trying to get my wife to watch The Disaster Artist, and then like she wouldn't. I showed her a clip from the room, and she's like, "I can't watch this."
Nope.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's not for everybody.
No, it's not for everybody.
And I gotta say, I love the fact that we're seeing The Room together, and it's your first time, like not on your phone, because we saw The Disaster Artist together.
We did, and that's why I had to
In
watch
the
it on my
theater.
phone before we were gonna.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's phenomenal.
Exactly.
And it was just
So
funny because I'm texting with Jason. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna see these movies. We're gonna see fucking Across the Spider-Verse and Transformers and fucking The Flash. and Indiana Jones and The Room. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What just happened there?
That's funny, dude. That's
By the
so
way,
funny.
Tim is fucking playing games. Tim, cut the bullshit. You spent $18 on worse shit than The Room. So stop it. You need to join us in the theater. The seat next to us is still available.
What theater are you guys watching at?
Regal Atlas. It's around the corner from me. I can be there in 2 minutes. Like I literally can walk around my corner.
That's awesome.
Which I've done various times where I'm just like bored and I'll just go walk around the corner. So.
And that's a fan event that they don't let you use your.
No, it's
Regal.
Fathom Events. Of course.
Yeah, fucking bastards.
Yeah.
That happened to me with Clerks.
But you can walk into your theater, no problem. It doesn't matter. They don't charge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna walk in there and just be like, "What time are they showing?" And just sit down.
Yeah.
Oh,
all
man.
right. Well,
This is
listen.
fun, boys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate it. If you're checking us out on Facebook, be sure to check out Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group. There's a bunch of stories and trailers and all this other stuff that doesn't make the show. So check us out there. Check out Pop Culture Pros and check out popculturepros.com. If you're following us on YouTube, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros, and Twitter, follow at Pop Culture Pros. Wherever you found your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. We got a bunch of cool stuff on the network, so you can check it out there, whether it's sports or wrestling or Disney or whatever it is. There's a show for you out there. We will be back next week, so kind of a short week for us. We'll be back on Monday night, and there's no CW show, so it's going to be all Transformers Rise of the Beast next week. So come check us out there. We'll be here. We'll see if Tim wants to be the fourth man in to join us for that. We'll see, but the three of us will definitely be back talking some Transformers next week. So
Yes, sir.
enjoy. See you next week. Peace.
Later.